Mary to the group today. She's going to do a little presentation. She's running for 6th District Central Committee.
Yes.
And
State Central Committee.
so if you live in the 6th District, maybe you can reach out to and give her a vote. So I welcome you to the floor.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect. Okay, so my apologies. I think anybody that knows me knows that I wake up in a dress every single day, but I'm walking precincts today. So this is what I look like right now. So pardon my appearance. And also, I've been sick for basically on and off for the past 3 weeks. So I think I was invited 2 weeks ago, maybe, and I was like, I cannot even speak right now without coughing. So I better not do that. So I guess to start off with, a lot of, when I'm walking precincts for people, for candidates, I always say to myself, like, I need to have a story to tell people when I knock on the door that speaks to who the person is. And I always like to tell people why I got involved in politics, because it was a little unusual. So I have been involved for, I guess, over 26, maybe going on 27 years now. Like hardcore involved, because when I was in, I think it was in elementary school, I had a friend, so I did not grow up here, by the way. I did not grow up in Ohio. I am a transplant to Ohio, and I will tell you that story too. But I grew up in Arkansas. And
what part of Arkansas?
Northwest Arkansas. So
Batesville?
no, Fayetteville. North of Fayetteville. So in this little town called Bentonville. Do you know what Bentonville is famous for? Yeah, it's the hometown of Walmart. But I was not part of Walmart.
And the Clintons.
Well, they're a little further down south, but you know what? I grew up learning all about the Clintons growing up. So, because Bill Clinton was our governor, obviously before he became president. But I grew up in Bentonville, and I was not part of the Walton group or Walmart. I grew up on a dairy farm. And my dad was a very hardcore conservative. And I remember we would listen to Rush Limbaugh in the car every single day. And as a child, that was very difficult because, of course, I'm sitting there griping about why are we not listening to music? I want to listen to something, that we're all talking about at school, or listening to at school. And my dad would always say, it's important to be involved, and it's important to know about what's going on in our world. We would read the paper every single day. Breakfast, there would always be a newspaper, and we would always go through the news and talk about what was going on in the world. I started walking precincts because of something that happened when I was a child. I had a friend, and I don't know if organ donation means anyone to anyone in this room, but I had a friend who needed an organ donation and did not get it, and she ended up passing away. And so I had a local representative that was very involved in getting organ donation on driver's licenses and giving people the option to give that as a donation. And so I started walking precincts for my local state representative at that time, and that is how all of this started. I hated politics at first, and then I saw the ability for, how you get people elected to office and the power that they have in your everyday life and the power that they have in shaping thousands of people's lives. And that was just on our local level. I ended up going to school in West Texas. I went to a small Christian university called Abilene Christian. It's a Church of Christ university in West Texas. And I worked for the Texas legislature at the time. I ended up, my member was a long-term member. He had been there for 20 years. Now, granted, I do believe in term limits.
Yeah.
I think those are important, but he was an amazing state representative and did really well. In Texas, you have local offices so people can just walk into your office. Our state representatives here, I think that would be amazing if they had that, and they actually had to have people walk into their offices every single day and have constituent relations. It'd make you feel a lot more closer and understanding what's going on in your state government. But he was chair of criminal justice and regulated industries. And so those two areas came into play in my world because I had lots of interactions with those different committees. But he ended up, he got cancer and decided not to run again. And I ended up working for somebody who lost in a primary. And I said to myself, I was in the middle, I'd graduated from college and I was in graduate school at the time. I was getting my graduate degree in human resource management. And I said to myself, you know what am I doing in Texas? Because I really need to, if I want to be involved in politics, I really need to go somewhere where it really it's like ground zero of politics. And so I said to myself, I am going to move to Ohio. I'm going to go work in politics in Ohio. Now, I never had been to Ohio. I knew nobody in Ohio. But I said to myself, that is where things happen, is in Ohio.
Heart of it all.
Yeah, that's the heart of it all. And so I ended up, I packed up all my stuff, threw it in I've always driven a Mustang, by the way. If you've ever seen my pink Mustang,
Yes.
I've always driven a Mustang. And I packed everything up that I had, and I drove on and off 25 hours to Ohio. And I had a job with the gubernatorial candidate who was Ken Blackwell at the time. I don't know if anyone remembers
Yes.
Ken Blackwell, but I had read his book in college, and I believed in a lot of the things that he said. I thought he had absolutely an incredible story.
He was Secretary of State for a while.
Yeah, he was Secretary of State, he was State Treasurer, and I loved his story because I thought, wow, that was amazing that the man who used to sell peanuts at the Reds game became a partial owner of the Reds.
Wow.
And he talked about upward mobility and the ability to really believe in yourself, and to, you could come from absolutely nothing and make your life into being an owner, a partial owner of the Reds. And so I worked for Ken Blackwell, and remember, I never had been to Ohio before, and my whole job was grassroots mobilization. It was advocacy, going out and getting people registered to vote. I was in charge of the women's and the student coalition. So I went to all the college chapters. And one of the first chapters that I came to here for the women's coalition was that I went to the Oakwood Republican Ladies Club,
Wow.
and then I did a phone bank with the party leadership of Montgomery County downtown, when the headquarters was I think like off of 2nd Street, maybe 2nd or 3rd Street. But so Montgomery County was like the first county I really had major interaction with. And we did a lot at the time. I mean, 16 years ago? I'm like, how many years ago was this? It just goes by like that. But that, starting here in Ohio, I really thought I was only going to stay here for, 5-6 months. And I've been here ever since. The major thing that I got involved in, obviously we did not win the gubernatorial election. Ted Strickland did. But I went on to serve on the Ohio Right to Life Board of Directors and the Dayton Right to Life Board of Directors for a period of time. I was involved in a coalition or a grassroots mobilization effort called Students for Life of America. And so I had 5 states that all I did after the gubernatorial campaign was go around and set up these chapters in all these states on college campuses. And can you imagine college? I mean,
Right to Life.
Yes, Right to Life.
So that's a tough thing to do on a college campus.
Yes.
It is.
You got a lot of young women who are saying, I want the right to choose.
My body,
right?
my
my body, my choice.
Absolutely, and that is very in your face as a female, setting up tables and talking to people about Right to Life and setting up college chapters. But we did it, and I think I had, if you read on LinkedIn, I tried setting up statewide chapters, so I would call it like the Ohio Alliance for Life for college students. I had one in Illinois, I had one in Indiana. I went over those states and that's all I did for 6 or 7 months. And then I ended up, I got a job at the Board of Elections here in Montgomery County, and my whole job was recruiting poll workers.
Wow.
But I'm going to tell you what was interesting when I started that position was that there were a lot of people. We had 348 precincts. And I'm trying to think how many polling locations exactly that was. But the crazy thing was that as a poll worker, what they said to me was, they don't have to be a registered Republican, Missy. We just need, they can be independent. They don't have to be a registered Republican. And I was like, well, that's not what my whole goal is getting a warm body in a seat. My goal is to get a registered Republican sitting at the table, because you only have 4 people sitting there. So we would have, I mean, across the county, I think at the time, it was more than half were registered Republicans that were sitting there for as 2 of the seats at the 4 seats. And so I said, that's really unacceptable. And actually, at the time, they had recruited people from the homeless shelter to serve as poll workers. And I was like, that just doesn't, the whole purpose of those positions is protecting the vote.
Integrity.
The integrity of the election and protecting the vote. So if you have 2 other people sitting there that, are essentially Democrats, but they're independents, that made absolutely no sense to me. So I was
Did the Democrats have any hard time recruiting on their side?
No.
That's the problem.
No.
Isn't it?
No, it was,
They're inspired, aren't they?
they definitely had much more on.
Viewers of their world.
But what happened was, I spent 3 years in that position, and the reason that I'm telling you this is because I have been in Montgomery County working to get Republicans elected and to protect the vote for a very long time. I was involved in our local party for a period when our chairman was Robert Scott, and I was executive director at the time. And but what you probably want to hear more about was that eventually in 2015, I ended up serving as the regional political director for the presidential campaign. And so Trump was, I actually got him on the ballot too. I'm going to tell you, when John Kasich is governor, and you get the opportunity to serve on a presidential campaign, and it's not John Kasich in the state of Ohio, it was like, this is a true, to me it was, Missy, I had many people that said to me, do you really want to do this? Because if you do this and it doesn't work out, you will never work. Like,
Wow.
You will be blackballed
Ruin
for
your
a
career,
very, you are going to ruin anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'll go ahead and do it. And so I worked from October until, I still remember filling out all the paperwork until the very last day to get it to the Secretary of State's office to get Trump on the ballot. And we would go out and we would ask for people to, we'd have people that would sign up and say, yes, I want to be a delegate. But then we would get to them and they'd say, well, my county party chair got a phone call from a certain office saying that, you better not, okay? So it made it very difficult. It was a long stretch in getting Trump on the ballot. But then we got him on the ballot, and I traveled a couple of different states in primaries, and then it came to our primary here in Ohio. I served as regional political director, and essentially what that was that I had 16 counties that I worked in Southwest Ohio. Now, that's quite the undertaking because, oh my goodness, you still had a lot of people that were not happy and still were on Team Kasich at the time. So what I will tell you is that it was an unbelievable experience. I am so happy that I ended up doing it. I grew up on a dairy farm, and so what ended up happening after the campaign is that I got a presidential appointment to the United States Department of Agriculture. I was regional director, which included Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. And I got to travel those areas representing the president and working with farmers. And I absolutely loved that because it brought me full circle to what I had started at. Now, let's go ahead into this. I was in, during the day of the election, I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went up there.
2020.
This is 2020. I was would go out and investigate. I would go out and investigate. And there were a lot of, I just remember that day and thinking, wow, this is incredible because I'm out here and it's like everything rural America, it was like 5 or 6, people were just wrapped around buildings, and inner city Pittsburgh, nobody was voting. And I remember thinking, wow, I had such a great feeling when I ended that day.
We're going to win.
Yeah, I said we're going to
Trump's
win.
going to take Pennsylvania.
We're gonna win, and it didn't happen.
Okay.
And
You weren't in Philadelphia.
yeah, I wasn't part of the team that went and observed the votes and.
They didn't either. They didn't have a chance to in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and so that's one thing I really wish I could have been a part of after the election. But now what I do is that I serve as the Director of External Affairs and Communications for the Treasurer's Office. And why that's important, I'm just telling you all, why that's important is because John McManus is the first treasurer that's been elected in Montgomery County that's Republican in 93 years.
Wow.
That is absolutely mind-boggling that it took 93 years to get a Republican elected to that position. But why that is really important is because what we do in that office is going to help get other Republicans elected. The feeling that we give people that we are being fair and that we are taking care of taxpayers and we're doing things to bring and actually I'll just on a side note when John started we had $250 million in delinquent property taxes in Montgomery County and we have nearly cut that in half. And so it's a matter of making sure that we have a fair role in government here locally.
How'd
Yes.
you do that, Missy? How'd you do that?
Accountability, communication. So I think there were a lot of people who hadn't paid their taxes in decades. I mean, there were people that had 20 years that hadn't paid their taxes. Yeah, and when you have somebody, and the story John always tells is that, when you have like the little old lady who comes in and she has like nothing, she's on, she has the widow's pay, and she comes in and she says, I just don't know how I can afford any more. And then you have somebody that comes in and says, you're going to sell a tax lien on my property. Well, here's $200,000, and you're like, wow, you had that the entire time. But again, why I say that this is important is because to me, being involved with that office is helping get other Republicans elected because they say, wow, we have a Republican that's on our countywide level who's doing an amazing job. And he's fair and he's doing things that he should be doing and taking care of us. And when people don't pay their taxes, then other people pay more taxes, from levies and things. But the State Central Committee, why exactly I felt compelled to do this was because, well, first of all, Judy Westbrook, I've known Judy Westbrook for a very long time, and her husband, Dave, and I knew Judy was no longer going to be seeking the position, and I have always wanted to do State Central Committee because I felt like in 2016, when we were able to turn Montgomery County into a red county, I'm sure everybody knows this, that Trump was the first Republican that won the county since H.W. Bush. And that was, 28 years? But that was amazing. And we are the only large-scale county that's able to do that. That's incredible. But why State Central Committee is important is because if you have a really amazing advocate in that position, you're going to have somebody who ends up saying, we need money in our county. We need to elect people. You need somebody who's going to be that hard-nosed advocate that's going to get that money. They're going to get the representation from the party down here. They're going to raise money for our candidates.
Now, we've been told by other candidates that the State Central Committee is controlled by a bunch of rhinos. Then they shut out people like you, people that have values like we have, true conservatives. Have you been told that, or are you prepared to handle
Well, I know
that?
there's people on State Central Committee that are, they're pretty moderate. They're pretty moderate. I have been asked the question about, I'm really excited about serving with Alex T., who's the state party chair now. He was a major supporter for Trump in 2016 and 2020. I think that there's a lot of things in play right now, that there's groups like Turning Point USA that are really trying to help very conservative candidates.
So you're optimistic.
I'm optimistic.
We can turn the tide and
I'm
start getting people with
optimistic.
our values in
That
those
we
power
will-
positions on State Central Committee.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a turning tide too, because you have a lot of people that have served there for a very long time, and they're not able to serve anymore. I mean, I think there's a couple
They're
of
old and
positions. Yeah, well, not just old and decrepit. I don't know if I would use that word, but you have people that they don't have the energy to do it anymore. Now I will say this. Now it's my understanding Joanne Davidson. So Joanne, I actually served. And there's actually been 5 or 6 different women from this county that went and did the campaign program, the Joanne Davidson Leadership Institute. I did do that. I think that it was wonderful that we had her as a, what do you call it? She was Speaker of the House. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. She was Speaker of the House for a period of time. And, but, Joanne Davidson is I think she's in a nursing facility now. And I'm really hoping that they end up electing a conservative female to be the National Committee woman this next go around. So, yes, sir, Mr. Todd.
Hey, thank you very much, I appreciate that opening. This gentleman you're talking about that actually worked or helped to support Trump in 2016, 2020, you should have connection with him?
Yeah, Alex T. was the, so Hamilton County was part of my region. Alex T. was the county party chair there. I never say his last name right, so I just call him Alex T.
Cincinnati, that's a big deal, Cincinnati.
Oh, very much.
Hamilton County.
And actually, I've been looking at their county and thinking, wow, Alex T.'s no longer there. You can tell a difference. So I was excited about him being the state party chair. He did some amazing, I remember the Trump rally that was in Cincinnati that was 50,000 people at US Bank Arena.
Oh,
He
nice.
played a large role in that, in making sure that we were able to do that, and that it was a
over there,
success.
though?
Well, he's the state party chair for the Republican. I think he ended up getting elected. I'm sorry, I keep on moving on you. But he ended up getting elected after Jane Timken. He took Jane Timken's spot.
Oh.
Yes. So,
But if you still have connections with him, I'd like to maybe get that information from you, because a lot of what we do, my group does, is we do a lot of rallies and support Trump and Trump's campaign. So a lot of us actually, this organization's done 15 rallies for Donald J. Trump, and 3 were just in Ohio. We went to Indiana, Michigan. I went to Warren, Michigan was the last one. We did 3 here in Ohio. So we did 15 campaigns. A lot of us, Amy, she actually worked, the Colonel worked. A lot of us worked these Trump rallies, and so I got to get in contact with Dalton Carlton, and get a hold of him so we can get that scheduled. So when the rallies start perking up in April, we want to be able to facilitate those volunteer spots that are coming available.
Oh, okay, yeah, and because the rallies, I mean, they couldn't have happened without the volunteers. So, and that was a major part of this.
Was that his thank you for, what is it, US Bank Arena? When he won. He had
Oh,
already won.
Oh, the
When
thing,
Trump-
yeah, the 50.
I was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
It was nice.
That was incredible, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was right after
I think
Monday
that
night,
that was
too.
the same one that if you guys know Elaine Herrick, I think she was in the background of the main video. You know,
Yeah, that was a good one.
but I think that it's State Central Committee. A lot of people have no idea what they do. A lot of the
They're kind
times.
of the kingmakers, right? They're the ones
Yeah.
that kind of decide that's going to be Governor DeWine is running for the. They'll do the endorsements, right, and say,
Mhm.
here's what we're backing.
They do endorsements,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
They also watch the money, don't they?
That's
They watch the
right.
money being
and they
spent.
put the money
Well,
behind it, yeah.
and making sure that it goes to, like for me, making sure that Montgomery County that actually has the ability to go red, that they get the money that they need to get,
Is that a paid spot?
No. You do, I think they cover expenses, like if you have to stay in Columbus, but no, you don't get paid for anything.
So we really appreciate you running for that spot, because anytime you do that, step up to the plate, and you're not drawing a check for that, so that we know that your heart's involved in that.
Correct.
So we really appreciate that. We applaud you for stepping out like that, because we need people that are in that spot to take this country back. So thank you.
So you said one of your roles is to bring the local Republican Party in this county funds so we can actually adequately run campaigns. Because I know right now it seems like there isn't very much money here.
No, there's not. Well, there's a lot of people that donate directly to candidates instead of the party now. I mean, that has been the major change in like the past 15 to 20 years, is that the party here used to be extremely well funded, and then they realized, oh, you know what? There were candidates they didn't like, and they didn't want it going to the party and then going to all these other people, and so you had people that would just send it directly to the candidate. Now the state party can send money to the local party, which is, I guess they just need to have somebody really pushing them and always being in their business, right? Not like, okay, that sounds bad. I like to always be in someone's business. But no,
You said it right.
yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I have always been an advocate. I think anybody that knows me knows that how passionate I am about a lot of different things in my life. I do a lot of community work here in Dayton, and I don't get paid for any of that. But I think that it's important as me as an individual that, and I'll just be very honest with this. So I drive a little pink Mustang. It says, before I was in the federal government, it said GOP lady. And then after, when I got in the federal government, they said, well, now, Missy, you can't have, that's like having a bumper sticker on your car. You can't have that. And so I said, okay, I'll take it off. And when I came back, GOP lady was no longer available, so I had to get Miss GOP. But what is interesting about that is that I've always been very proud to be a Republican, but I've always been very involved. So I had lots of people who might not be Republicans, and they might not like Republicans very much. I always tell this cute story that I'm at the, what was it called? The Kettering Rec Center. And I had a guy who, he's screaming at my vehicle. I come out and he's screaming at my car, and I'm thinking, why is this man so angry? And, and he's read my license plate. And he's like saying nasty things about Republicans and everything. And I come out and I looked at him and I said, do you at least like the color of my car? And he started laughing, and he said, yeah. He's like, well, no, my car's pink.
Oh,
Do you at least like the color of my car? It's pink. And he ended up, he started laughing, and he starts talking to me, and he says, well, you really aren't that bad of a person after all, And his wife is and I won't tell you, he was driving a Prius. But yeah, right, there you go. But his wife is in the car, and his wife had to say, honey, you need to shut up and get in the car right now. He's like, you stop bothering her. Yeah.
Was she a Republican?
Well, she probably was like, oh Lord,
She
he's
thought that you were a conversion.
Yeah, I was like a converted. But it was interesting because he said, oh, you aren't really that bad of a person. And I thought, you know, I mean,
Kindness.
that was kind of that was very telling to me. So I'm trying to convert people. So we really aren't that bad after all, right? So, all right, Scott, what's your question?
So one thing I noticed is when you go to the Board of Elections, you look at the pie chart of the number of Republicans and the number of Democrats, and there's significantly more Republicans in Montgomery County than Democrats. However, it's always a however, the amount of independents totally dominate it. And I wonder, is it that people are just getting so frustrated they just don't have anything to do with either party?
Wow.
I wonder,
Good
I mean,
question.
that's starting to dawn on me, because I remember I went to someone's, I've had this happen several times when I go, and I went to someone's house. Their name was, a Republican supposed to be here. I found the person, but he was so angry that I was coming to talk to him about Republican candidates. Now I'm kind of confused as to why he has an R after his name. But I'm almost wondering, maybe our brand has been damaged and tarnished. You know,
People are jaded on both parties.
and I'm wondering if maybe I should start calling myself something else, like I'm a Lincoln Republican, or I wonder if I need to differentiate myself, but I don't want to because I'm proud of being a Republican. I know there's a lot of challenges. I mean, I would not be working so hard if I thought our party was doing the right things, honestly. And I think it's almost like we have to bring our brand back in a way, I think. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with the question. I'm just bothered by the fact that we have this
So when I came here to Ohio, I knew that there was a vast majority, or there was like, you know, the independents that you're talking about, that you have people that they can vote Democrat one year and then they vote Republican the next. It's like they're totally up for grabs, you know? You can, it depends on what I think they get jaded because they see so many people that disappoint them. You know, they get into office and then they're like, well, they didn't say what they didn't do what they said they were going to do. And then they're like, okay, well, I'll vote for the other guy next time. And that's just, you know, that's the hard thing to have to deal with, is that you just need really great candidates that are going to do what they say they're going to do.
That's profound.
Important.
That's profound, because remember, you know, as a precinct captain, it seems like we should do our jobs to represent those individuals and find the candidates we want. I think our group has really specifically picked candidates. In fact, you're one of them, because when I pulled my sample ballot, I found who is Missy May? Who's the other lady? And I found out that she actually works for DeWine. Now, I've never met her, but I think there's a conflict of interest if the governor wants to have people that work for his office to be on the organization that controls the money of the Republican Party. And I did actually talk to Jessica, and she simply said, as she normally says, Missy is a better choice.
Okay.
That's all she said. I thought that was good
I
enough for me.
appreciate that.
That's a strong
That's
endorsement.
nice. Yeah, that's nice.
She's pretty short and to the point when she says things.
Well, and someone else had a question.
Is it okay? This is
Yeah.
okay. Not an easy one, I would say.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot necessarily
Okay.
here or anything like that, but I don't look at the parties as Republican and Democrat anymore. I think anybody that's really paying attention does the same. This is especially on a national level, but it has to start at the local level to change it. So what I see now is you have globalists and you have populists. And that's the two parties.
Define each of those.
Define each of those?
Yeah.
Well, every Democrat and all the Republicans that vote with them are globalists, and they want power. They're for the big corporations. They're for all that. The populists, Trump, JD, Matt Gaetz. They're very few, but those guys are for more of the people, the populace. And obviously, you see the powers that be want to squash the populace. Do you see this, and can you guys work towards more of a certain agenda, or do you guys just support whoever comes?
Well, I think that most people have no idea what the definition of populist and globalist means. I think when people look at their ballots, they just look at Republican and Democrat.
That's true. That's true.
You know, that's how it's going to be unless there's some type of eventual split. I think when you have a lot of money going overseas, instead of staying here. Then you have people that, I mean, like you said, you know, I don't think that that's really going to change anytime soon. I mean, I'll just be honest.
Sure.
I'll just be
Because
honest.
most people aren't really paying attention.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
I think one of the things that disappointed us here in Ohio is when Governor White, for example, when the whole COVID thing came along, it seemed like he was very eager to shut down the state, close down the businesses. He was
One
okay
of
with
the fastest
masking
governors
school
on
kids
Fox
up,
News.
you know, and encouraging people to get the jabs.
Yes.
It was like, wow,
Maximilian.
where's this individual freedom that we're all about in this country?
He's a
Your right to
Democrat.
have your
Right.
business stay open if you want to.
Civil
You have
rights.
the right not to wear a mask if you don't do, or not to take
Yes.
a jab.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to bat at all for the individual freedoms. We want to put people in office that recognize that your individual freedom, your liberty comes first.
Yes, sir.
Now I would say,
The one
now
is
you know I
actually
came
very
from
anti-Trump.
Bentonville, Arkansas, hometown of Walmart, but I definitely had a problem with Walmart being the only business, or you know, one of the only businesses
Yeah, they
staying
were allowed
open.
to stay open. Yeah,
I
mom
mean,
and pop got closed.
There were a lot of mom and pop shops that died because of
Uno's
that.
Yeah.
is dead.
Yeah, and it's really, now do I think that that would happen again? I don't think so, because I think people oh no, I mean, I really think that there were so many people that said, wow, look at what happened. You had all these businesses that died. You had kids that, like, my kids are like 2 years behind now. You know, you had, you know, people that couldn't say goodbye to their loved ones that were in nursing facilities. You know, they had to like see them through the window.
But you know, those that did that to us really haven't apologized to us, and all the procedures and policies are still in place for them to do it to us again if they want to. It's up to us to not comply, obviously. But it'd be nice if we could actually take those kind of people, which I think are many dictators and tyrants, throw them out of office and put people in there that will, like I said, let us be free Americans and make decisions on our own.
Well, I do. I mean, I think that
If you're in favor of that, then
I think there is a majority of people out there that would have a very big problem. They never had experienced anything like this before. There were people that had no idea what to do. And now that they've been through it, I think they're way more aware of what happened and how far back it, you know, kept us. So, I mean, boy, I tell you, so Carroll High School is down the street. People say, so one other thing that I'm working on right now, I'm doing something for their St. Pat's Fest. And someone goes to me, they said, Missy, why are you helping? Because you don't have kids, you know, that are in Catholic education. You don't have, you know, you're not an alumnus. And I said, the Catholic schools didn't shut down. Like, their kids are doing so much better.
Homeschools and Catholics.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'll totally support them because they made the right choice. Or I felt like they did.
Did they get pushback from the state when they decided to stay open?
I'm sure that they did. I don't know if they got
They were killing grandma.
I was told by some of the board members in my local school that they were told by the county organization that if you don't comply with us, we're going to send people to your school. We're going to find issues with you, and we're going to shut you down over those. They pretty much told the local schools what they're going to do. And the thing that really bothered me is a lot of lack of transparency from a lot of school boards. They weren't honest with their parents as to their decision making.
Like what happened in Cameron.
You know, but that's just something I noticed.
Yeah. I think parents have, after what happened, I think there's a lot more parents that are very, very concerned. I think everything, you know, with the boys playing in girls sports, girls playing in boys, well, more boys playing in girls sports. You know, there's parents that are feeling way more empowered now because they say, wow, you know, I can run for office and serve on my local school board. I mean, most people used to be scared to death of serving on school board, you know, and now they say, wow, there's really a reason that it's important to,
Yeah.
and I should go ahead and serve on there. I'm sure that might be something that you were thinking when you ran, but anyway, that was, I don't know what the scenario was, but yeah, that would be totally uncalled for, saying we're gonna try shutting you down if you don't obey by this, that, or the other. But that's why I love the Catholic schools, just because they never did. So, and their kids are not as far behind as what a lot of our public school kids are.
Have you got any pushback by the woke community, the woke agenda, for the stances you have on certain things, or are you proudly?
Have they tried to sue you yet?
Yeah.
Well, let me think here. I'm running in a Republican primary, so the Democrats can't. I guess they could have pushback and if they really cared, and go ahead and pull a Republican ballot.
You'll find out when you win your primary and then go into
Yeah.
the general. That's when
Oh,
you
no.
find out. What
Well,
you're
there's no
looking
general.
Hand up here.
There's no general for, this is it.
Yeah, this is
at.
it.
This is it.
Oh yeah, I won't have anything in the general. Now, I will probably have people that I know who would be like, I mean, the things that I'm involved, so something that you should know. I serve on, 12 different boards here locally in different organizations in like Greene County, Montgomery County. I mean, I care about kids. I think it's sad that, you have kids that can't read. You have kids that don't graduate from high school. You have a very broken society. And so that's why I do a lot of volunteer work. But the point that I was making is that I'm around a lot of different people, and they're not all Republicans. And even I got a text from somebody who said, somebody sent me a text the other day and asked me how many Trump gummies I was eating. Or something.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
your Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And I said, you know what? I said it takes all different types of people, and politics is a very interesting area to be in. So
God bless you for being
we
in the
can
fight.
agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We appreciate you being in the fight.
Yeah, thank you.
I try.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to get you back up there. We're going to try to have you another session so you can do the 2 to 4. We'll get with
Oh,
Scotty.
okay.
We'll get with Scotty. We'll get you on the board so you can do the whole entire 2 to 4, and then let us know where you're actually at with how far along you are. But we really appreciate you coming today. Everybody had any questions for her today?
You see me?
She has a really good story to tell. She came from a dairy farm, and she's done a lot of things, and she's working for free. I mean, what American human being